Well, I'm going to try to remember some material for this attempt at comedy. AAC number 18. I'm going to call this one Time Out in Sports Games. This was inspired a while ago when, remember at the time when we used to do this thing called go to sporting events and gather. Well, at a Calgary Roughnecks game, I was sitting behind some fans that I'm not too sure what they were arguing about. Like, it was kind of a playful arguing. But they were arguing about time amount in games. And I know with lacrosse still being a growing game and some fans still trying to figure out the rules and how the game works. But they definitely kind of sounded funny how they were arguing and comparing games with time amount in games. Where I know the one group that was arguing was trying to say there are 4 quarters and there's 15 minutes in each quarter. So that means the game is an hour. And they were just trying to keep bashing that, and they're thinking, and they're kind of thinking, yeah, but how come in hockey there's 3 periods and they're 20 minutes? It's like the game is still an hour. So I just kept hearing it's same with football. It's funny how they call it quarters. Like, it's a quarter of an hour, and an hour has 60 minutes, and if you divide that by 4, that's 15. Oh, wow. I just kept hearing that over and over again. And then also kind of throw in there, it's like, yeah, well, you know how hockey and football and lacrosse, the game in terms of the whole total time is 1 hour in regulation, but we call it quarters in lacrosse or football because there's 4 segments of 50 minutes each. The periods, I'd actually believe hockey actually used to be 4 quarters. But then before the advent technology of Zamboni cleaning the ice, that's why I believe they made it 3 periods and they made the periods longer. But it still adds up to an hour. But in soccer, how did they come up with an hour and a half? Because soccer, it's funny how they call it, it's an hour and a half. But then they have this thing called halves, where there's 90 minutes, not 60, but 90 in soccer. But 1 half is 45 minutes. I know the referee always has time for injury because the clock continues to go in soccer. But let's just say for argument's sake, that's why it's called halves. You got the first half and second half. I almost would have been fun to go in that debate and say, do you notice that soccer is 90 minutes and they only have 2 halves? Instead of 4 quarters, it's 2 halves. But their halves are more than the quarters, if you know what I mean, because the game is an hour and a half. I mean, it was just funny to listen to in the background about arguing how much time amount in games. I mean, maybe you should throw in baseball. There is no time limit. They just keep playing until there's 3 outs and 9 innings, or unless the team, the road team or the home team is in the lead and has the lead clinched, that sometimes they don't need a bottom of the 9th. Or in golf, how do they decide that? There is no time amount in golf other than, maybe the sun and making sure you have this ball and you put it in this hole and you try to avoid wet things, very dry things, tall things. I mean, I just found that hilarious that these fans behind me, I mean, it was funny. I wasn't going to complain to Usher about them not getting how much time there is. It was just so funny how they were arguing about how much time there is and how it was broken up in quarters or halves, or there's an hour. That's funny how it works out. It's a quarter. But then throw in the hockey, I almost wanted to throw fuel on the fire and say, yeah, but in soccer they have the thing called halves. Instead of 2 quarters makes a half, so they have 2 of them. But the game's an hour and a half long instead of 60 minutes. So yeah, this is my attempt at comedy, and thanks to those fans that sat behind me at the Roughnecks game for this inspiration. So you're welcome. I like that material, and I just remember that. It was funny. So that's what I call attempt at comedy. So anyway, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home to Flames Hitman Roughnecks, where I inspired this attempt at comedy, and Stampeders, just to make sure you like, subscribe. I mostly talk Calgary sports, but I also do a personal blogs, attempt at comedy, And I also do share my experiences at a sporting event or on the road with a camera, but in this case, is just by memory with fans arguing about time amount in sports. But that's all I do on my channel. So if that sounds like you all be interested to watch, do follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey. You know what you should do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also have my other social media links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me. And according to my analytics, 88% of you watch my stuff but aren't subscribed. So I gotta say, how come? Do you enjoy my stuff? Have you watched enough of it to follow along? I just want to, continue to keep growing on this platform and share my experiences as a Calgary sports fan and give you Calgary sports and some more that I already have on my channel. And just be a little careful if you sit around me at a sport event, whenever we're allowed to do it again. If you argue about something that might be interesting, that might give me a video idea, but hopefully it's all in good fun. I mean, I don't know the names or anything, so it's all harmless at the same time because there's no actual names that give an actual picture. So that's just all part of the storytelling. So, as I say, I'll see you in the next video, and I'll try to attempt to keep being funny with attempt at comedy. So thank you.